Hello, Newark family. This is Desi Lugo, the Connections Pastor, and I wanted to give a quick update to everyone before we begin our evening broadcast. As most of you are aware by now, Delaware is now in phase 2 of this recovery plan from this COVID 19 pandemic. And during phase 2, many restrictions have changed. Some have even listed in the way that people can gather together, the way that different stores are opening back up, and the requirements. And so, as a pastoral team, we have spent the last week discussing how we would reopen the church and what it is that we would look like when we begin to gather once again in person. We've actually spent several weeks talking about it, but specifically this last week, we were talking about what would happen in our small groups if we were to reconvene in-person small groups. So last week, I went and I looked up the specific guidelines that the state of Delaware has posted for phase 2 for all kinds of different purposes, for businesses, for restaurants. They have specific instructions for houses of worship. They even have instructions for social get-togethers. Since our small groups, if they were to reconvene in person, are kind of a blend of a social get-together and a church activity, we kind of had to look at both of those requirements to see what this would mean. And so after looking through the requirements and taking some notes, I then called every single one of our small group hosts. In Newark United Pentecostal Church, at this time, we have 11 different small groups that meet in person. And so I contacted all 11 small group hosts and I did a poll with them, or a survey, if you will. And I just asked them a few basic questions and asked what they thought and what their comfort level was for hosting a small group in person during phase 2 of this recovery plan. And hear me, this is specific to during phase 2. And after speaking to all 11 small group hosts, what became abundantly clear was that unfortunately at this time, none of them, nor the pastoral team, feel comfortable reconvening small groups in person. And here's why. In order to reconvene small groups in person during phase 2, the first thing that would be required is that everyone would still have to wear a mask, even in small group. The second thing that would happen is that we would still have to maintain physical distancing of at least 6 feet for all of our family units. So this means when you come to a small group, husband and wives, or a family unit, husband and wives and kids, they can sit together, but they must be at least 6 feet apart from any other family in the small group, and everyone is wearing a mask. Now, for almost all of our small group hosts, this means that their living room, dining room, wherever it is that they meet and have their small group is not large enough to have small group and maintain every family unit 6 feet apart. So the solution to that is that, weather permitting, all of our small groups, or almost all of our small groups, would have to meet outside. In addition to that, let's talk about bathrooms. If anyone has to use a bathroom during small group, it means that the small group host, or whoever from the small group volunteers for that, would then have to clean the bathroom after each person uses the bathroom, or each family unit of people who use the bathroom. So that means someone during the small group is missing the small group because they're going to have to wipe down every hard surface in the bathroom to make sure that it's clean and safe for the next person who might need to use it. In addition to that, if we were to do food during phase 2, and hear me, all of this is specific to phase 2 of this recovery plan. If we were to do food during phase 2, there is no feasible way that we could come up with to allow food that meets the guidelines for what the state is requiring, unless everyone were to bring their own meal and they were to not share any food with any other person in their small group. So, in essence, in order for us to reconvene small groups in person during phase 2, everyone has to wear a mask. All family units have to maintain a physical distance of at least 6 feet. For almost all of our small groups, this means that if the weather permits, they would have to meet outside. Anytime someone uses the bathroom, it would have to be cleaned immediately afterwards. And if there was food, everyone would have to bring their own food and they would not be able to share it with other people. In light of these restrictions, we felt, and all of our small group hosts felt, that it would be best to wait a little longer after phase two to resume our in-person small groups. Now, fortunately for all of us, we have been able to meet online, and we are thrilled that we're able to do that. Stay tuned for an announcement coming in July. Our platform is going to change, and instead of using WebEx, we're going to be using Zoom, but we are going to continue to host our small groups weekly. We are going to continue to host them online. So, Newark family, you are wonderful people. You have been incredibly patient during this time. I am thrilled with the way that people are staying connected together, but we're asking that you hold out with us just a little bit longer when it comes to these small groups. Right now, during phase two of Delaware's recovery plan, we do not feel that it is best for us to reconvene small groups in person. We will reconsider this once Delaware gets to phase three. Now, what about church services and resuming services in person? Well, I'm glad you asked. This week, if you go to our church website and you click on the Digital Campus card, you will find a new card under Digital Campus that says In-Person Church Survey. And I want every single one of you, and I do mean every single one of you, to click on that card and fill out that survey. That survey is anonymous. It's going to ask you multiple questions. Most of them are yes/no questions. And the pastoral team is gathering information so that way we can make an informed and prayerful decision. We're seeking after God's wisdom and guidance to know when it is that we should resume our church services in person. For now, it has been decided that our small groups are not going to meet in person during phase two, and we're going to reconsider our options later down the road. For in-person services, no decisions have been finalized yet, and we want your feedback. We want as many people as possible to fill out that survey. That survey is going to be up on our website for at least a week, and once that's done, I will gather the information together, and we as a pastoral team will discuss it and decide what to do next. God bless you all. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you online.